Don't tell anyone that you are lonely, because, once again, you will convince yourself of this. A bank is a place where they lend you an umbrella in fair weather and ask for it back when it begins to rain. I am not a teacher, but an awakener. A mother takes 20 years to make a man of her boy, and another woman makes a fool of him in 20 minutes. Don't ever take a fence down until you know why it was put up. To be a poet is a condition, not a profession. The reason why worry kills more people than work is that more people worry than work. I hold it to be the inalienable right of anybody to go to hell in his own way. Education doesn't change life much, it just lifts trouble to a higher plane of regard. A poem begins as a lump in the throat, a sense of wrong, a homesickness, a lovesickness. Poetry is about the grief, politics is about the grievance. In 3 words, I can sum up everything I've learned about life. It goes on. Belief is better than anything else, and it is best when rap. Home is the place where, when you have to go there, they have to take you in. Poetry is when an emotion has found its thought, and the thought has found words. By working faithfully 8 hours a day, you may eventually get to be boss, and work 12 hours a day. A liberal is a man too broad-minded to take his own side in a quarrel. Education is the ability to listen to almost anything, without losing your temper or your self-confidence. You've got to be brave, and you've got to be bold. Happiness makes up in height for what it lacks in length. The middle of the road is where the white line is, and that's the worst place to drive. A diplomat is a man who always remembers a woman's birthday, but never remembers her age. The best way out is always through. I have never started a poem yet, whose end I knew. Writing a poem is discovering. We dance round in a ring and suppose, but the secret sits in the middle and knows. Forgive me my nonsense, as I also forgive the nonsense of those that think they talk sense. I never dared to be radical when young, for fear it would make me conservative when old. The world is full of willing people, some willing to work, the rest willing to let them. A poem begins in delight and ends in wisdom. No tears in the writer, no tears in the reader. No surprise in the writer, no surprise in the reader. The artist in me cries out for design. It's a funny thing that, when a man hasn't anything on earth to worry about, he goes off and gets married. Education is hanging around until you've caught on. Writing free verse is like playing tennis with the net down. You have freedom when you're easy in your harness. Poetry is what gets lost in translation. Humor is the most engaging cowardice. A person will sometimes devote all his life to the development of one part of his body, the wishbone. What we live by, we die by. Nothing can make injustice just, but mercy. You don't have to deserve your mother's love. You have to deserve your father's. There never was any heart truly great and generous that was not also tender and compassionate. A successful lawsuit is the one worn by a policeman. Hell is a half-filled auditorium. Most of the change we think we see in life is due to truths being in and out of favor. No memory of having start atones for later disregard or keeps the end from being hard. Thinking isn't agreeing or disagreeing. That's voting. A civilized society is one which tolerates eccentricity to the point of doubtful sanity. Being the boss anywhere is lonely. Being a female boss in a world of mostly men is especially so. I'm not confused. I'm just well mixed. The best things and best people rise out of their separateness. I'm against a homogenized society because I want the cream to rise. You can't get too much winter in the winter. I hold it to be the inalienable right of anybody to go to hell in his own way. The greatest thing in family life is to take a hint when a hint is intended and not to take a hint when a hint isn't intended. A poet never takes notes. You never take notes in a love affair. If society fits you comfortably enough, you call it freedom. The father is always a Republican toward his son, and his mother's always a Democrat. College is a refuge from hasty judgment. Poets are like baseball pitchers, both have their moments, the intervals are the tough things. The worst disease which can afflict executives in their work is, not as popularly supposed, alcoholism, it's egotism. I always entertain great hopes. I go to school the youth to learn the future. Take care to sell your horse before he dies. The art of life is passing losses on. They would not find me changed from him they knew, only more sure of all I thought was true. We love things, we love what they are. Nobody was ever meant to remember or invent what he did with every cent. I am a writer of books in retrospect. I talk in order to understand, I teach in order to learn. Space ails us moderns, we are sick with space. To be social is to be forgiving. Pressed into service means pressed out of shape. The ear is the only true writer and the only true reader. Never marry a woman who has already had many men. It is likely that she will use her experience to harm you. Love is an irresistible desire, to be irresistibly desired. One aged man, one man, can't fill a house.